Well, welcome to another episode of Win TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. And we have a great show planned for you today. It's really tight, a lot of information, so hold on to your seats. Actually, as a matter of fact, why don't you put on your seat belt? Because we have a lot we want to share with you today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, I always like to say to you, I hope you picked up a copy of the Washington Informer. You know, you can read it online, but I always like to show the paper itself, the print edition. And like I said, until they tell us we can no longer cut down trees, we may find some alternatives for print publications. But we will continue to print. But we want you to know you can pick up a copy of the Washington Informer anywhere, just about in the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. But you can also read the digital edition online at www.washingtoninformer.com. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit share, and so that your followers can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us as well, and we will follow you back. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, no spaces, Washington Informer TV. We'd love to have you following us, and we're going to give an update. We're going to take roll, Chevry. We're going to find out how many people are actually following this show, because we really work hard to bring some great guests to you every week, and we don't want to just talk to ourselves. We're hoping that you all are watching, and even if you can't watch it live on Fridays from 12 to noon, check us out later in the week, because it's always there, but you have to go to our YouTube channel to find us. So not going to hit on a whole lot of news, because there is a lot going on in DC right now, in the region, at the nation, and the world. But we did want to mention the $10 million settlement. As you all know, the Attorney General announced the lawsuit recently, Attorney General Carl Racine, against the Darrow Management Services, Darrow Realty, and Infinite Real Estate, and helping people who are living in, it's a civil rights case, and so it's a penalty against housing discrimination in the District of Columbia. This settlement, and did I give the amount? $10 million. It's the most significant civil penalty in a housing discrimination case in American history. Thank you, Carl Racine. I'm sure many of the tenants of the properties that were managed by this organization are grateful to the work that the OAG did and his team, and we'll be hearing more about that. But we want to make sure that you pick up Stacey Brown's story, or that you read his story at WashingtonInformer.com. Go on and check it out and see what is Denise talking about. That's where you can get more details. So anyway, our guests today are Nick Jacobs, the Public Information Officer, spokesman for the DC Board of Elections. And we're going to talk to him about the upcoming November 8th general election and all the information you need to know to make sure that you absolutely go out to vote. This is very important. October, we're almost at the end of October, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we're quite honored to have Princess McDuffie, who's going to be with us. She is with the Domestic Violence Intervention Program at CSOSA, the Court Services of Offender Supervision Agency, CSOSA. And so we're going to talk about domestic violence, but some of the issues related to that. David Mallory, the director of the annual giving at Whitman Walker Health, will be with us to talk about the 36th, can you believe it, 36th annual HIV Walk to End HIV, which will take place tomorrow. So I hope you all have your walking shoes on. It's going to be a great, great event, and right over at the campus of St. Elizabeth. So we're going to talk more about that. And then we hope to have Angela Harmon with us, who's a co-founder of Chromatic Black, who's joining us to talk about $200,000 in grants that are going to be made available through the Ida B. Wells Fund. And then I'm really excited that my, I don't want to call her sidekick, but my colleague here at the Washington Informer, Brenda Seiler, will be here to have a conversation with Cassius Priestley, chair of the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce. And they had a wonderful gala, but it's an organization, I think, that really works to promote Black-owned or businesses, small businesses, large businesses, all kinds of businesses in Prince George's County. So we're glad to have Cassius Priestley with us to talk about that. And if Ambrose Lane makes it, because we know his schedule is crazy as everybody else's, but he's chair of the Health Alliance Network. And he's going to come on and talk to us briefly about the 8th annual Her Story Matters and Fannie Lou Hamer Courage in Action Breast Cancer Awards program that's taking place tomorrow at the Arc. So that's a lot, and we're going to keep going through and make sure that you all, this is one of those shows where you have to pull out your calendar. You know, you need to let folks know that, you know, check off this date and that date and the other date to make sure you don't miss out on things that are going on in the community. So before we bring on our guests, let's watch this week's news broadcast by Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. D.C. Councilmember Charles Allen has sponsored legislation overhauling the city's criminal code. Allen's bill, the Revised Criminal Code Act of 2022, updates the city's rules, regulations, and practices regarding criminality. The criminal code hasn't been substantially changed since the early part of the 20th century. Allen commented saying, quote, "Our criminal laws are a mess. We have overlapping charges with inconsistent or missing definitions and elements, as well as outdated technology. And oftentimes the punishments don't fit the crime." Allen said the council will take up his legislation this week and that a final vote on the bill will take place in November. Attorney General Carl Racine is suing chemical manufacturer Velskol Chemical over pollution in the district's waterways that primarily impacted Black and low-income Washingtonians. At an October 13th press conference, Racine said that Velskol spent decades selling a pesticide that it knew caused cancer. Velskol manufactured chlordane, a chemical used to kill insects from 1945 until the EPA banned it in 1988. The suite alleges that Velskol knew chlordane caused cancer as early as 1959. Velskol did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Environmental justice leaders spoke alongside Racine at the press conference, praising the lawsuit, as well as the Attorney General's focus on holding polluters accountable. NAACP DC President Akosha Ali said, quote, that environmental justice is a civil rights issue. Congressional Republicans introduced what some are calling the national version of Florida's Parental Rights and Education Bill, or what critics have dubbed the Don't Say Gay Bill. Mike Johnson of Louisiana and 32 other Republican members of Congress on Tuesday introduced the Stop the Sexualization of Children Act of 2022, which will prohibit the use of federal funds to, quote, develop, implement, facilitate, or fund any sexually oriented program, event, or literature for children under the age of 10 and for other purposes. The bill defines, quote, sexually oriented material as, quote, any depiction, description, or simulation of sexual activity, any lewd or lascivious depictions or descriptions of human genitalias, or topic involving gender identity, gender dysphoria, transgenderism, sexual orientation, or related subjects.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Quite a bit of news, and we appreciate that broadcast that you prepared for us. We're going to bring on Nick Jacobs now, who's the Public Information Officer and spokesperson for the DC Board of Elections. Nick, welcome to WIN TV.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I know you all a bunch of busy bees over there right now, trying to make sure that the mail-in ballots have gone out and people are bringing in other getting ready. Tell us what's coming up. Tell us the deadlines and dates and all that.
You bet. So there are a couple of different things that are happening right now. Ballots have gone out. They went out on October 3rd to every registered voter in the district. You should have received it by now. If you haven't, please reach out to us and let us know so we can get a new ballot out to you. Best way to do it is to call us at 202-727-2525. You can put your ballot in one of 55 drop boxes all across the city. We have them in every ward all over. A lot are in front of rec centers, libraries, places where there's a lot of good, convenient places to drop off your ballot. So if you're out on your way to work, drop it off. If you're just taking a stroll over the weekend, you can drop it off. And so that's one way. You, of course, can mail it in.
Before we move on to the mail-in, Nick, can you give us that phone number again?
Of course, 202-727-2525.
2525. Okay, go ahead.
And then let me add, you can find the location of any drop box on our website at www.dcboe.org. Next will be early voting, and that's going to start on October 31st and last until November 6th. We'll have 25 vote centers, again, in every ward all across the district. They'll be open every day from until 7 o'clock. And there too, you can find locations on our website or by giving us a call. You just pulled up the website there. We have everything listed in that far right column. You can see where all of the Dropbox and early vote center locations are. You can go in, you can vote in person during early voting, or if you just want to drop off your ballot, there'll be a special box in every early vote center. So you can just walk right in, drop it off, and walk right out. And of course, the main event, Tuesday, November 8th, is Election Day. And we will have 90 vote centers open all across the district. Something very important to emphasize: a lot of people take a look at their voter registration card. Mine is old and cracking in places. You do not need to vote at that location. And in some cases, it might not even be open. So we urge you to check the website or give us a call to check voting locations. You can vote anywhere in the city. It doesn't matter where you live. So please take advantage of the convenience of drop boxes, vote centers.
Wow, we're frozen. There you go. Okay, we lost you for a second there.
I'm back. I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's technology. But yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Let me ask you, too, Nick. Let's say, for example, if a person's voter registration card, like you said, you've had one for a long time and you've moved since then, but you don't have a new card reflecting your current address. Is there something we need to do? Would that restrict you from voting or what?
Absolutely not. The best solution for that is you can same day register at any early vote center or on election day, or even ahead of time, you can come in person down to DC BOE at 1015 Half Street. But truly the easiest thing to do is to bring a copy of a lease, a utility bill, a cable bill, something like that. Bring that with you, something that shows proof of residence, into an early vote center or on election day. Bring that in with you. You can register on the spot and you can immediately cast your ballot.
Is there any need to bring ID otherwise? If you're coming to vote and you just, people do you have to have an ID or anything?
No, you don't. That's a great question. It definitely makes the check-in process a little easier, a little smoother, but no, you do not need your ID.
Okay. All right. And I'm trying to think what other situation people find themselves in sometimes. I don't know if you can come up with something that I think people are often concerned about when it's time to vote.
I think you hit the two big ones. If someone has moved or something like that, again, just bring proof of your new residence with you and you'll be able to register and vote on the spot. And truly, we've moved. You should have received your mail ballot. If you haven't, let us know. It is so critical. There's still plenty of time to get a new replacement ballot out to you. So please take advantage of that. And then just remember, you can vote anywhere in the city, any vote center, any drop box. They're all listed on www.dcboe.org. Please take advantage of the many convenient locations. And as I say, cast your ballot, make your voice heard.
Thank you so much. It sounds really easier and convenient. And I think folks appreciate the opportunity that we have in the District of Columbia. So many people are facing, and I know you can't respond to this, but facing issues all over the country with voting. But at least in the district, we're making it simple and easy and accessible. That's what it sounds like to me.
Indeed, we're doing everything we can to make it as easy as possible and as convenient as possible for voters to cast their ballot, because really that's the most important thing: casting your vote, making your voice heard.
Right. Nick, thank you so much for being with us today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We hope DC residents will keep you all really busy for now through November. We want you to be really busy.
Us too.
All righty. Okie doke. Thanks much. We're going to bring on now Princess McDuffie, who's with the Domestic Violence Intervention Program at Court Services and Offender Supervision Agency, CSOSA. and to talk about this domestic violence month. Princess, thank you so very much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Denise.
So, first, can you just give us a little bit of background about CSOSA for folks who may not know what that organization is or does?
Certainly, CSOSA provides supervision to a number of folks who are court ordered to participate in probation, parole, supervised release. So we're the entity that provides probation and parole supervision services in the community.
Mm-hmm. And so, how is it that the organization has delved into the issue of domestic violence or intervention of domestic violence, intervening in that issue? What is CSOSA's role?
So that's a great question. And I just want to clarify and just make a distinction. Domestic violence is typically between someone who lives together, right? Maybe blood relatives who live in a home, and an issue has occurred, whether there's threats, whether there's violence. The other thing that we also focus on is intimate partner violence. So I just want to make the clear distinction between the two. And so how CSOSA gets involved is when someone is charged with a domestic violence offense. And once they go to court, they get adjudicated and the judge places them on a period of probation. What we then do, specifically if the judge determines that they need to participate in domestic violence intervention program, that's when my unit gets involved. And that's when we provide a number of services for those who have been convicted of domestic and or family violence offenses.
So, can we define that or break that down a little bit more?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, we, like you said, we often think about, sort of male-female relationships, but this seems like it's a broader definition. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, can you go into that for me?
Yes. And so some of the services that CSOSA provides includes our female abuser intervention program. And what we provide are services that really delve into the power and control in relationships, right? We also talk about intimidation, using the children. And these classes, the female abuser intervention program is specific to females. We also have our male abuser intervention program. Those classes are specific and generalized to our male population. We also provide services for family violence. Again, those who have been convicted of offenses that focus on blood relatives, right? So issues with brother and sister, where we're going to talk about sibling rivalry. We're going to talk about dysfunctional families. And we really delve into how we can provide those folks who are sent to us. How do we provide them with healthy tools so that they can then do the things that are necessary, to ensure that they are abiding by the court order, but also that they are, in the end, what you want is a healthy relationship. And that is what we truly focus on.
Princess, how do you all know whether you're being successful with these treatments and outreach and whatever? How do you know when you're faced with a domestic violence situation and this is one that you've really had an impact with? How are you measuring success?
So we're measuring success in different ways. We have an office that provides us with different intel and analytics around that. But, what's even more important, Denise, is that when I get a phone call from someone who's completed our program successfully, who says, Miss McDuffie, thank you and your staff for wrapping your arms around me and giving me what I need so that I'm communicating effectively, so that I'm not using those tactics of power and control, and that I'm doing well now, and that I've been able to relay what happened to me in the community or within my family. And so we really are wanting to break the intergenerational cycle of abuse. And so those are the things that are important to us. And those are the things that, really resonates with me as I do this work along with my team.
Yeah, I think about older people in our community too, and I sometimes wonder if they're like the silent sufferers. A lot of grandparents raise grandchildren. Those grandchildren turn into adults sometimes that have legal problems, want to come back into the household, and now the grandparent becomes the victim. I mean, is that a case that you all would address as well?
And so CSOSA exclusively deals with adults.
Right.
And so we focus on the perpetrators of the violence. And in the case you just presented, there's not an adult perpetrator. And
No,
so,
what I was saying is that, sometimes a grandparent raises a child, the
mhm,
child becomes an adult, may end up getting in trouble for some other reason, leaves, maybe become incarcerated, comes home, wants to come back into the grandparent's home as an adult, and then could become the abuser of the older person in the household. Do
absolutely.
they have a voice? Does that older person have some recourse through your organization?
So outside of our organization, we exclusively supervise those that are court ordered and mandated, and
Right.
so to participate in our program. And so, if that is the case,
Okay.
we can definitely. They do have some recourse.
Wonderful. And so what are some of the treatments that the court suggests that victims or abusers, that they have to undergo?
And so for us, those that are mandated to participate in domestic violence intervention program, as I stated, our family violence program, if the victim in the case is a blood relative, we also have domestic violence anger management. In addition, our male abusers intervention, as well as our female abusers intervention program. And so these courses are 22 sessions at about an hour to 90 minutes a week. And my staff and we do a phenomenal job with the resources that we're giving, attempting to make impact and change within our vulnerable population.
And where can people find those resources for the victim or the accused?
And so, what I would say is this for us, because we exclusively work with those that are on probation and parole, the resources are definitely there. They can tap into it with their probation, their community supervision officer. For those in the community, what I want to highlight, and I'm going to look down at this paper because I want
No.
to provide you with accurate information when it comes to the domestic violence hotline. And so that number for those who are in need of services is 1-800-799-SAFE. And so that's 1-800-799-7233. Locally, there is the National Network to End Domestic Violence. They focus on social, political, and economic change. And so you feel free to please check out their website at nnedv.org. And so if you know anybody who has experienced domestic violence, there may be, if they're in danger or medical attention, of course, we would encourage you to call 911. For perpetrators and those that unfortunately find themselves in a position where they are exerting power and control over people, we ask that you tap into, counseling services. There are a wealth of community-based organizations, your religious council, and in your local area, check out any of the better intervention programs.
That's wonderful. I know you're going to have to go, but I was going to say, several years ago, I did a police ride along one night with some police officers. And it was amazing that I would say maybe 3 out of the 5 calls we got were all domestic violence cases. So this is a serious problem.
It absolutely is. And we encourage folks to reach out to victim advocates. If you know people who are impacted by domestic violence, and we all know someone, right? People suffer silently. I ask you to make sure that you tap into the necessary resources to get them the help that they need, perpetrator and or survivor of domestic violence.
Well, I'm going to let you go. I wanted to start off with this, but I figured I would end up with this. As many know, they may recognize at least the last name McDuffie. And so I want to wish, you and your family the best. I know your husband is running hard for a seat on the DC City Council. He served for many years from Ward 5, but really appreciate you for the work that you're doing in this area of domestic violence. And if anybody wants to know about the McDuffies, you can read an article in the Washington Informer. When was that, Chevy? The Love Life, yes. Show Love DMV. Yeah, thank you. She had to help me out with that. But at any rate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Princess, and keep us abreast of what's going on and how we can help to keep our community safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing attention to this most important issue. Take care.
All righty. Thank you. You too. So we're going to jump now to a problem solver, another one, Whitman Walker. We're going to talk about the walk HIV on tomorrow, right, Dave?
That's right, tomorrow.
Yeah, this is exciting. David is the director of annual giving at Whitman Walker, and this is your big fundraiser, right?
This is our largest annual fundraising event. This is the 36th year for the Walk to End HIV, which makes us probably the third longest continually running fundraiser in the country, for HIV care, services, prevention.
Right. And you all have expanded. I want to talk a little bit about Whitman Walker. I know first let's talk about your goal. What is the goal for the walk this year?
Sure. Our fundraising goal was $475,000, and I'm just so excited to announce that we already blew past that goal.
Woo.
And we're about to hit $520,000.
Wow.
Thanks to the community and our corporate partners. So we're just so grateful for the outpouring of support this year.
Well, you all have a lot of great news to share this year anyway, because you're moving. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, first, the event itself, Walk to End HIV, is moving. We're really excited to be at Gateway DC Pavilion tomorrow, which is on the campus of St. Elizabeth's East. And we're encouraging folks to either ride share or take Metro to the Congress Heights station on the Green Line. Also, what's exciting this year is that we're back with community. It's been 2 years that we've been virtual, and the walk is all about community and commitment to ending HIV in the district. So we're very excited about that. But in terms of Whitman Walker and our future and our growth, what's going to be most exciting, I think, tomorrow is that we're going to take walkers by our new Max Robinson Center, which is there on the campus at St. Elizabeth's East. It's scheduled to open by fall of 2023. It is a 7-story state-of-the-art medical home, and once it's open, it's going to allow Whitman Walker to provide care for up to 10,000 additional patients. Wow. And address long-standing health disparities in Ward 7 and 8. So we're so excited to show it off tomorrow to walkers or anyone who wants to join us. I think it really kind of epitomizes or is a tangible result of the support we've received from the community.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I remember when Whitman Walker opened originally downtown, and then there was some, there's always controversy around something, but you all didn't shy away from what the community wanted, which was to have a place east of the river to serve some of the residents over in this area. So hence Max Robinson Clinic opened. And it's really exciting now that you have a new home. And a lot of people don't know who Max Robinson was. So do you want to share that really quickly?
We would love to, because Max, as one of our namesakes, was certainly, for anybody who grew up in Washington, D.C., certainly knows Max Robinson. But he's certainly known primarily for being the first Black anchor on a national news broadcast. And even though he was born in Richmond, I think a lot of Washingtonians consider him, a hometown person. And I can still hear his voice. So, I grew up with Max Robinson on Channel 9. But in the 80s, he was diagnosed with AIDS. He didn't announce it publicly, before his death. But upon his death, he asked his friends and family to make sure that the community, and specifically the Black community, knew that this was a disease that could affect anybody and
Right.
affect their families. So in terms of raising awareness and visibility about HIV and AIDS at that time, he was really quite a trailblazer, and we're so honored that he is one of our namesakes. And when the new building opens, we will have his panel from the AIDS Memorial Quilt in our lobby at the new location.
Wonderful. That's all great news. Now, I understand Women Walker is the top team fundraiser this year. Do you have a second and a third? Are there others you want to announce?
We do. Well, first, I want to say, on the Whitman Walker team, I just want to, shout out to my colleagues there and their friends, families, and supporters, because our team has raised over $75,000 as of today, which I think is a record for Team Whitman Walker. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I think that's a true record. But we also want to give a shout out to our PWC Shine team, which has raised approximately $21,000. And right on their heels is our team from Wilmer Hale, which has raised a little over $20,000 as of today. And of course, the fundraising will continue until the end of the year.
So how can people donate?
Sure. Easiest way is to go to walktoendhiv.org. They can donate there. They can support a participant or just donate to the event. They can also register there. Registration is going to remain open up until the event itself. So they can register there at no cost, because we don't want to provide any financial barrier. If people donate $35 or raise $35, they'll get this year's commemorative t-shirt, and everybody loves a good event t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
They can find all the information at walktoendhiv.org. They can register tomorrow on site as well, starting at 9:00.
Okay.
And the walk itself will step off at 9:30. And then we're going to have a stage program with some great entertainment and just a wonderful community gathering.
So since you're going to be at St. Elizabeth's, how long is the walk? It's not time-wise, but distance.
It's about 1.5 miles, so it's not,
Okay.
a traditional 5K. It is going to go around the campus of St. E's, and as I mentioned, right by our building. And then we'll come back and just gather, and Gay Men's Chorus will be performing. Shaquita Lee and her performers will be there. Chuck Bell from NBC4 will be emceeing. So it's just going to be a great morning, and the weather, fingers crossed, looks like it's going to be on our side for the morning.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is great, Dave. Thank you so very much for joining us. And I'm excited on so many fronts. But I do plan to come out and join you all tomorrow and
Wonderful.
make my bit of my donation. I know we did a story as well this week,
Yeah.
but we will be there to cover, to participate, and to support. So welcome to the neighborhood.
Yes, we're very excited, and thank you for your support, and to the Informer as well, who's been a media partner for decades.
Our
We
pleasure.
really
Our
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
All righty. Well, I'm going to let you go because I know you have plenty of work to do. And well, hopefully everybody that has. So, one more question. After the event tomorrow, I think you already said this, though, you will be accepting donations. We always accept donations, right? But we're hoping that people will continue to donate, even if they don't come tomorrow, right?
Absolutely. We'll accept donations, right up until the end of this year, and hopefully we can push the total higher. And just so folks know, the money that we do raise goes to the HIV care, prevention, and service programs at Whitman Walker.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Thanks much. Have a good one. All righty. Is Angela with us? Good. Okay. Let's we're going to jump over to Angela Harmon with Chromatic Black. Angela, how are you?
I am well. Thank you for having me, Denise.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. We have been sitting on the edge of our seats since last week. I wanted to talk to you about this fund after my Shiro, Ida B. Wells. We all know about the great work that she did in the anti-lynching movement, and that she was a journalist and a newspaper publisher and what have you. So tell us about the Ida B. Wells Fund.
Yes. So Ida B. Wells was also a Shiro of ours, and we couldn't think of a better person to sort of name this fund for other than Miss Wells. So the Ida B. Wells was really created to kind of address some of the pain points in the creative industry. Specifically, it started as a film fund. We were looking at a McKinsey report that stated there were about 4 major areas where Black filmmakers couldn't survive and thrive, and so from funding to distribution. And so we decided to invest in ourselves and invest in our creatives, our sort of storytellers who sometimes envision the world that politicians can't envision. And so we said that we were going to invest in these visionary artists, give them $10,000 last year. This year it's $15,000.
Nice.
Yeah, 10 and now 6 filmmakers, to kind of develop and create a story that spoke to disrupting the master narrative. And so when we say master narrative, we really mean like, what are those ways that are creative and innovative that speak to all of the ways in which structural violence happens in white supremacy. And so this year we've expanded the fund. So not only is it a fund for filmmakers, it's also for visual artists and creative placemakers.
Wonderful. Now, we skipped over Chromatic Black itself and what the organization is. And so I think folks are probably getting a hint of that because of who the awards, the type of programming that you all are supporting with this fund. But give us some background on Chromatic Black as well.
Yeah, so Chromatic Black was actually named by, inspired and named by one of our young people. She told us about a visual arts class that she took, and told us that at the essence and the depth of every color is Black. And so we thought that was an incredible message, thinking about our deepest shades of our humanity is actual Blackness. And so Chromatic Black is a community of artist activists. We have about 15,000 of them, who really live in this hybrid space of art, creating art and speaking to the world, dreaming into a new world, absence of, again, structural violence and white supremacy.
Is your background in theater as well, or film or photography? But tell us a little bit about yourself, Angela.
Yeah, so I have a 25-year career in television and film. Started off, I cut my teeth at 40 Acres and a Mule with Spike Lee.
Nice.
Working on Summer of Sam and wrapping up with The Best Man, one of the films that he produced. And so, for me, I understood those pain points oh so well. Just, how difficult it was to sort of find, produce, distribute content, that didn't necessarily fit into the prescriptive nature of what Hollywood thinks is compelling or interesting or viable. And so, creating this company was really appealing to me to kind of address some of those issues. And one of the things we initially said was like, we wanted to get rid of this idea of starving artist. Artists shouldn't be starving. These are the people that sort of help us make meaning of the world,
right?
In these like sort of on ways that are obvious and sometimes ways that just make us think and that are provocative and help us understand who we are and our place in all of this sometimes madness of what we call the world.
So who can apply for this grant, and what are the deadlines?
So we have, again, for our short film fund, the deadline is October 28th. So we're looking for filmmakers who have a distinct vision. We're looking for folks to create something bespoke and unique for us. And that deadline is October 28th. And then we have our visual arts fund, and that deadline is November 1st. And again, we're looking for visual artists, so graphic designers, painters, sculptors. We're looking for all of those folks. And then for our creative placemakers, we're really looking for people that have space, space in Black communities, in which they're trying to kind of innovate in the ways in which we use these spaces. So, a theater or an art house or a movie theater, creative placemaking really expands this idea of visitor and participation in these spaces and how the community can use them better.
How do you all get funding?
So one of the things that we love about this fund is that, we're constantly raising money so that we can put the money right back into the fund, so that we can keep growing it. We can make these awards bigger, that we can expand the fund. One of the things about our community is it's cross-disciplinary. So we're not just filmmakers and visual artists, we're also architects and dancers. And so every year we want to expand the fund a bit more. And so we are always looking for donations. We raise money all year, again, to keep this fund sustainable and growing.
Are there any, let's say last year you said the recipients, you got about 10,000, which is a nice piece of change or a significant contribution to someone who's really trying to get something off the ground. I think it's significant. But who are some of those that have, are there folks that you can mention who have actually received funding from you all?
Yeah, so one of the films that won last year was a short film called Fanny. And it really, it's a short film that explores Fannie Lou Hamer's speech at the 1964 Democratic Convention. It stars Anjanou Ellis, the Emmy-nominated, Academy Award-nominated actress, and directed by Christine Swanson, a veteran television and film director. We're really excited about the film. It's being considered for an Oscar. And so we're really excited about this little fund that we, dreamed up, and complaining about the industry. And we're just happy to be recognized for investing in our own folks, investing again in these sort of visionary, provocative filmmakers and creatives.
So we're here in the DMV, and is this like a fund that's open to people everywhere, or is it limited in certain cities, or how does that work?
So it is a nationwide search, so anyone in any can apply. You can go to our website at idabwellsfund.com. So again, that's idabwellsfund.com. The application, we tried to make it as simple as possible. And again, we're having information sessions. So if anybody's interested in applying to the fund, we're having a session this Sunday at 3:00 Eastern. Again, that's 12 o'clock Pacific, 2:00 Central. Again, where this fund is open to anyone in this country over the age of 21 who has a story that they want to tell, and they need some support. So we're here to support them. And not only, one of the other things I want to mention is not only are we supplying just funding and resources to filmmakers, we're also trying to scaffold folks through this process. We know that, especially in the filmmaking process, how difficult it is, and it's a team effort. So we have award-winning and acclaimed producers that will be there to kind of help them through this process. So again, please check us out at idabwellsfund.com. And again, for the visual artist, again, it's very simple. We're looking for artwork, again, that speaks to what it means to disrupt the master narrative. And any of the proceeds that we make from the artwork, we split that with the artist.
This is really fantastic. I'm so glad we got you on to share this information. And, I think back, for those who may follow, I think Brenda Seiler, who's going to come on a little bit later from our team, probably focuses a lot more on the arts than I may. But I remember when Spike Lee, since you mentioned him, was doing the film Malcolm on Malcolm X. And that seemed to be really public, the challenges that he had in trying to raise revenue to finish that film. And so what you all are doing is really answering a much needed demand or call, for artists. I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I just appreciate making these resources available, because otherwise, like my daddy used to say, if it is to be, it's up to me. And if we don't do it for ourselves, then, these stories don't get told, right?
Stories get told, yeah. We're really excited just about the expanded notion of, again, the stories that we got. We've got animated series, we got, these documentaries, we got, these one-woman pieces like Fanny. So we know that there is an appetite to tell our stories and to imagine a new world. And again, we just do our little part, in this space, and that we hope we can, again, kind of walk alongside some of these like innovative new voices.
Well, when those film credits go, we certainly want to see the Ida B. Wells Fund or Chromatic Black in the credits, if for supporting what they've done. You know how folks can do sometimes, right? But thank you. I'll say thank you on behalf of those who actually receive these grants. We're certainly going to follow this. When will the grants be announced?
The grants will be announced on December 1st. So right before the holidays. So we're hoping to give some folks some Christmas gifts or Kwanzaa gifts or whatever you celebrate. And we hope that, again, people will be making their films and we'll be able to announce and show these films in the spring of 2023.
Well, make sure you let us know who the winners are. We want to help to celebrate them as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people have stories to tell. They've got people writing books, they're doing films, they're little documentaries, all kinds of things. There are folks out there that really do want to support you, and we want to make sure that we bring them to you here at the Washington Informer. But also, there are other folks that can support those of you all who are just trying to make the best out of the business that you have created. And one of those organizations is the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce. And so I'm excited to bring on Cassius Priestley, as well as Washington Informer reporter Brenda Seiler, who's going to talk to Cassius about what's going on with the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce. Cassius, it's nice to see you.
Nice seeing you as well, Denise.
All righty. I'm going to jump off, and Brenda, it's all yours.
Thank you, Denise. And hello, Mr. Priestley. It's good to talk to you again.
It's good talking to you as well. And Brenda, just thank you for having me out this afternoon.
Sure. I want our audience to know that you are the market president in commercial banking for Truist Bank, but you are also here primarily in your capacity as being chairman of the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce. And you all have a big agenda, a lot of things going on. But I think for foundational purposes, can you just briefly tell folks, what does the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce do, and how does it support our community?
Yeah, Brenda, really good question. The Chamber of Commerce primarily is about advocating for businesses in the county. A lot of people don't know it. The Chamber has been around 98 years. We'll have our 100th anniversary in just a couple years. And Brenda, you think about the importance of the Chamber. It was on full display during the pandemic, because we realized businesses were clearly struggling. There were some challenges that businesses had in Prince George's County. So what the Chamber did during this time was we assisted businesses with, payment protection loans, ensuring that they completed the appropriate paperwork. We had various seminars, help businesses forecast, because one of the things that was critically important is being able to forecast and understand you had enough cash flow to get you through these tough times. I think our impact, Brenda, was so significant that we received several grants so that we can continue to stand up and do the work that we need in the county to help businesses. So the Chamber is truly the preeminent business organization in the county, and we're all about advocating for our members.
There is something that you told me, and I appreciate you mentioning the grants that you got, that in terms of the support that the Chamber offers, especially to small business owners, that you all received a grant and you're working with small business owners to overcome a hurdle that perhaps in the past has kept them from moving forward at the pace they desired. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll be glad to, Brenda. I think because of the great work that we've been able to do and the Chamber's been able to do, and really it's the Chamber staff and the members, Care First did award us a $200,000 grant. It's a 2-year grant. And the purpose of that grant is so that we can actually have someone at the Chamber office to help businesses, in particular small businesses in the county, walk them through the procurement process in the private sector. There's a lot of attention around the procurement process in the public sector, but there are a lot of opportunities in the private sector. So we'll have someone at the Chamber office. You can come there. They'll sit down with you, ensure you have the necessary paperwork, and they'll help to not just ensure that you complete the appropriate process to be on a vendor list with a potential business in the county or one of the larger organizations, but they'll also advocate for those businesses to ensure that their criteria is basically appropriate given the size and the business that's inquiring about that procurement opportunity.
You know, that sounds like very much in alignment with your career in banking, where someone can come directly to help, sit down, discuss the problem. So I see perhaps maybe your influences as a banker probably help to move forward with that small grant that you're getting, your small grant that's going to help in a big way. But let's talk about something that has been on the minds of a lot of communities around the country, and that's the increase in crime, and in particular, crimes that are associated with young people, adolescents. And how does that impact Prince George's County? The county executive put a curfew into place. That's one step. But what else is going on there? And what is an opportunity for the chamber to participate in terms of how businesses are having to work through the challenges of crime?
Well, and that's a really good question because I think they go hand in glove. What I mean by that is when you have a thriving business community, crime has a way of going down, right? If you have a thriving, vibrant business. But if you have vacant buildings, you have businesses that are struggling, then crime seems to fester in those areas. One of the things we did most recently, we had our annual retreat. And it was critical that the leaders in the county, public officials, as well as the law enforcement community heard from the business community. So we have Chief Azeed was at our retreat. We also had County Council Chair Calvin Hawkins was there. We had Angela Rosser was there. And we were able to share with them some of the pain points of the business community and also being able to share with them the importance of having a safe community. So what we consider ourselves at the chamber is more of a convener. So what we're able to do is ensure that we're advocating for business. We'll bring the right people to the table. We have our upcoming board meeting, for example, and we're going to have the newly elected county council members there. They will hear directly from the chamber, from the business community around pain points, around issues as it pertains to crime, and how that impact of crime impacts business. So one of the things we consider ourselves, and we're quick to stick with our doctrine as a chamber organization, is we consider ourselves to be a convener and an advocate for business, and that also pertains to ensuring that we have a safe community.
Well, in the short period of time that you have been chair, and you're in the chairperson's role for just a year, but there's another big activity that you have to undertake, and that is bringing on a new president and CEO for the chamber. The past chamber president and CEO, David Harrington, left back in the spring, I believe, and we lost him. He passed away during the summer. He was a highly regarded community business advocate, but now you have to, and your board, have to bring in a new president and CEO. Talk to us about that process.
One of the things, and you mentioned David. David did a remarkable job of ensuring that he elevated the chamber, that the chamber had the appropriate stature in the community. So big shoes to fill. So one of, and I knew David quite well. I've served on the board of directors for the chamber now for 11 years. So I've worked closely with David. But because of the work that David did, as well as the staff, we've been able to, and we've been in a position to really have some strong candidates that have expressed interest in the president and CEO role. And we owe a lot of debt of gratitude to David because we're now at that level. So where are we in the process? We're currently conducting interviews, and we're starting to narrow it down to a few candidates, and then we're going through the progressive process. The search is being led by the executive committee, and once we kind of narrow down some of our choices, we will then put it before the full board. So our hope is we'll be able to name the new president and CEO of the Prince George's County Chamber within the next 2 months.
That's great. That's a lot of major organizations. It takes a lot longer than what you all have been working on. So it feels like you've got a well-oiled machine in place to really navigate through this process. Now, I want to ask you about an awards program that you all had. I believe it was last week.
Yeah.
The gala. Talk a little bit about the gala.
Yeah, the gala was a wonderful event. It was the Excellence and Business Awards, where we were able to recognize 11 businesses and organizations in the county, recognize them for their success, recognize them for their achievements, recognize them for their overall impact in the county. This was our first, we hadn't had an awards gala in 3 years, right? Because of the pandemic. And one of the things that we made as a priority for the chamber is we're not a virtual organization. We have to have events. And I'm proud to say this fiscal year, which just started in August, we've had 12 events that we've either co-hosted or we're the host for. And the Excellence in Business Awards that you referenced last week was our premier event.
And a lot of things that you've got on the agenda. You've had the gala, you've got a search going on, you're doing special things for small business. The Washington Informer covers Prince George's County on a regular basis. So we want to keep in touch with you to keep up with what you've got going on so we can continue to spread information that will help businesses in Prince George's County thrive. And so I thank you today, Mr. Priestley. I really appreciate it. And let's get back to Denise Rollock-Barnes right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I was ready to keep listening because I think the Prince George's County Chamber of Commerce is doing some great work. I really appreciate that interview and learning so much more about what they're doing. And so I hope that you've enjoyed the show today. We had a lot of content. You've marked your calendars, you take down email addresses and phone numbers, and who knows, I might see you out there tomorrow at the Walk for HIV. So in closing, I just want to announce that the Health Alliance Network will be hosting the, what is this here, Sherry? It's going to be the Her Story Matters, an event dealing with breast cancer. It will take place at the Arc tomorrow evening, and I don't think it's too late for you all to join if you'd like to do that. Ambrose Lane was going to join us, but we can still make sure we share this with you all. It's the Her Story Matters and the Fannie Lou Hamer Courage for Action. There will be some folks who will be honored. There's a keynote speaker, woman Wanda Lucas. It should be a really great, inspiring program and supporting those who are survivors of breast cancer and those who are trying to become or hope to survive the disease, and those who really need to go ahead and get tested to screen for breast cancer. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Chevry, thank you as well. Our producer, she keeps this show going. And if you have some news or information, an idea, something you want us to share on WIN TV, please just reach out to us at news@washingtoninformer.com. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Certainly enjoy it. Be safe. And we'll see you next week.